Now, so that we can make professional looking drawings, let us look at what the standards are for putting dimensions on architectural drawings. And you will remember that the standard we use for architectural drawings is, when we're in the US, I should say. Other places in the world use a slightly different standard. In the US, we use the US National CAD standard. And what we will look at today is the dimensioning part of that. Actually, dimensioning comes from CSI, the Construction Specifiers Institute. First of all, how do you write numbers in your dimensions? And there's a certain way we have to do it. First of all, we always write feet and inches, and we have a foot mark and an inch mark. And if it's less than an inch, we use a fraction. So that is different from engineering units. If you worked for, let's say, a civil engineer, you would write this in feet and decimals of a foot. So this is for architectural. And we always put, after the feet, we put a dash. So feet, dash, inch, space, fraction, inch mark. If you have a whole number of feet, like here, 10 feet, you always add the trailing 0. So 10 feet is always written 10 feet dash 0 inches. If you are writing a size that is less than a foot, you do not put 0 feet, don't say anything about the feet, just write the inches. In other words, no leading 0. So if it were 6 inches, you would write 6 inch mark. And for fractions, we always write them side by side, that is, all in a line. And the way you do it here is inch, space, and then the fraction, inch mark. If you wrote 6 dash 1/2, there could be some confusion because we also write a dash after the foot mark. So we just go 6 space 1/2 inch mark. And what we do not do is this stacked up thing. Those of you who might have learned board drafting in the old days might have learned how to make these stacked fractions. And they were cool looking, but they did take up extra space. So we're trying to squeeze a lot of information into our drawing, and we just use this format. And I have your class title block formatted so that it will write the fractions that way, side by side. In architectural drawings, when we put a dimension on the drawing, we end it with a tick mark. It's called an architectural tick, and I have set up your dimension style in the class title block to use an architectural tick. We are not allowed to use arrowheads according to the National CAD standard. Now, I call your attention to the fact that this is one of the details in our book. If you happen to have bought our book, he does say that you can use arrowheads or ticks. That is not correct. In fact, that is wrong. He might have been looking at an old edition of the AIA graphic standards. Some years ago they allowed arrows, but nowadays, no, nobody allows arrows. They're all architectural ticks. That's the end. And when you put tick marks on your drawing, they should all be sloped the same direction, and assuming you're using AutoCAD, they will be. Then for the text is always aligned with the dimension line, which means if the dimension line is horizontal, the text is horizontal. If the dimension is vertical, the text is vertical. And the text is always sitting up above the dimension line. So that's different from mechanical drawings. Here are two versions of the same floor plan. This is out of an architectural working drawing book. In the top, the floor plan is dimensioned with feet and inches. In the bottom, this author has shown the same sizes in millimeters in case you're interested. I don't know why you would be, but there they are. In either case, though, you can see the text is aligned and it is sitting above the dimension line. That's the main point. I put together two simple excerpts from drawings here so that you could compare the standard for architectural drawings on the left with the standard for mechanical drawings on the right. So on the left, you notice in the architectural dimension, we have the text that is aligned. In a mechanical drawing, all the text is horizontal. In the architectural drawing, the text is above the dimension line. In a mechanical drawing, it's set into a space in the dimension line. In an architectural drawing, we use foot and inch marks. In a mechanical drawing, we use no marks, and the reason for that is that in a mechanical drawing title block, we say, unless otherwise specified, all dimensions are in inches or millimeters or whatever it is, so we don't repeat the marks on the numbers. We don't do that in architectural drawings. We do write the foot and inch marks, as you know. In architectural drawings, we use architectural ticks. In mechanical drawings, we use arrowheads. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention in a bullet point, in architectural drawings, we use a style similar to stylus. In mechanical drawings, we use a text style similar to Arial or Helvetica. In an architectural drawing, when you have a leader, a line with an arrow and a note attached to it, you can use either straight lines or squiggly lines, curved lines. Either one is acceptable according to the standard. If you choose straight lines, then you need to have a horizontal leg here. It's about 1/4 of an inch long. And the segment with the arrowhead on it needs to be at an angle within 15 degrees of horizontal or vertical, or as we say, between 15 and 75 degrees. And the reason for that is we want it to look like a leader, and we want to be sure it doesn't look like some part of the wall or the floor. Whatever style you choose, straight or squiggly, stick with that one style throughout the drawing, so your leaders are always the same. I don't know how you feel about these curved leaders. If you came from the old days where you did board drafting, people really like to make those curved leaders, and you can do them with a flourish. They look kind of artistic. In my opinion, well, maybe just because I'm not that accomplished, I feel like they're a little bit more trouble to make in AutoCAD and to get them to look right. I feel like the straight leaders are slightly faster to make, but maybe that's just me. Whatever you choose, stick with one style. Oh, and they always have an arrowhead on the end. When you're dimensioning a thing, keep in mind who is using your drawing. That is a builder, a contractor, and so we don't want fractions any smaller than a 1/16 of an inch. And honestly, a 1/16 of an inch is pretty darn fussy for many construction applications, as you probably know if you've done any building. But don't go to a 32nd. That won't be good. There are times on a drawing where it doesn't matter that much what the size is. It's approximately within such and such a range, believe it or not. And in that kind of situation, you write plus slash minus right after the size, plus minus. So that means this number is approximate. It can vary a little bit. And then when you write a note for a thing that has multiple instances, like here is an interior elevation of some cabinets, and we're showing a note with here are the cabinet pulls. There are a whole lot of them, and rather than writing how many of them there are, you just write TYP for typical. Now, those of you who do mechanical drawing, that will be like fingers on a blackboard for you, because we never ever do that in a mechanical drawing. But in an architectural drawing, we do that all the time. Where you list the quantities is in a thing called a schedule. A schedule is a table that says, here's the brand of pull, here's the symbol that I'm using to represent it in my drawings, here's the finish on it maybe, here it might even be here's the manufacturer you get it from, and here's the quantity. We have 24 of these in this building, for example.